Oh, you know what? So much. Yeah.
Here
There
it
it goes.
goes.
Okay.
So we're not live on Facebook tonight, but I will put it up on Facebook as soon as I can get it recorded. So we are live.
Absolutely. Hi, everybody, and welcome to another Friday night with the Asea 5. We love coming at you every Friday night to share our experiences and bring incredible guests to you. So I'm Dr. Maureen Hayes. I'm from Galveston, Texas. I'm an anesthesiologist and pain specialist. I was double boarded, although I did not renew my pain board. So I hate to say that maybe I'm just single boarded at this point, but double boarded in my career. And I'm only bringing that up because our fan favorite guest tonight is triple boarded, and nobody ever lets me forget that. So like I have to go back into training to get a few more boardings. I think I'll just stick with Asea. But in any case, I'm joined tonight by the regulars, Jim and Ann Glenn from San Antonio, Texas. Jim is our money man, former stockbroker, and Ann is our personal trainer and nutritionist. And of course, the infamous and ultra famous Dr. Lee Osler from Richmond, Washington State. He wrote the book Redox Matters, and he is our expert on NRF2 and on what these little molecules do. So just so you know, we're here, even though we have a lot of medical professionals on this call, this is not a medical product. It's not meant to diagnose, treat, or cure anything. What it does is it empowers your body, your cells, to do their job the way they were meant to. So your body acts like it's much younger. So we see enhanced healing, slowing of the aging process, people who recover from athletics more quickly, just absolutely amazing things because our body is miraculous. When you give it the tools it needs, it's amazing what it can do. So I'm going to bring on Dr. Carmen Keith, but beforehand, somebody had mentioned Lynette Lamore, and I would like to do a shout out. I just met Lynette for the first time at our conference in Nashville. She actually came up to me and we had a great conversation. She put her information in my phone and I texted her back when she invited me to look her up anytime I was in Naples, Florida. And unfortunately, the Monday after we returned back, she passed away. I don't know what the cause of that was. I don't have any information, but I do want to give a shout out and honor her for being just such a bright and caring person and just such a lovely human being. It was just an honor to meet her, and I'm sorry that she's passed. So anyway, without further ado, I'm going to bring on, she could have been my protege had I been involved in any of her training, but she's triple boarded. She went to Harvard. I married Harvard, so I think I get credit for that. And she's an anesthesiologist, a pain specialist, and a functional medicine doc. And she's just absolutely amazing. We love her. Our fans love her. And we're bringing her back by popular demand, Dr. Carmen Keith. Dr. Carmen Keith, come on and tell us. We always love hearing about your parents and how they're doing. We love hearing your dad's amazing story, how you got introduced to this, what you went through personally, and kind of a little bit about your journey as a, not just as a Western trained, Harvard trained physician, but how you came to be more holistic and, your own personal journey that brought you to that. So Dr. Carmen Keith, I'm just going to hand it over to you and let you run. So welcome, Carmen.
Oh, well, thank you, Maureen. Thank you so much, everybody. This is the highlight of my month always, is to join you guys. I love it. It's just like family. And I just hope that I'm relatable and personable. And if you've never seen me talk before, I hope that I say something that just kind of sparks you and makes you go to bed tonight and go, you remember she said something. So, how I got into Asea was a lot like all of you guys. I just had an acquaintance that came to me and said, hey, I really think this can help you guys. It was Dr. Ann Ools. She came to me with a little bottle of Renew 28 gel, telling me it's helped her pans. And as a pain physician, of course, I had to look into that. And I said, how does this science really, really work? And so I kind of did what every good doctor does, and I did my research and I quieted the chatter, if you know what I mean. And I just dug in and I started reading, and one video led to another, as you can get lost in the internet. I listened to, I don't think every one of Tyler's videos, but I've listened to hours and hours of Tyler Norton's teachings and videos. And then I just came to the conclusion of why not? Why not? At some point, you have to let your ego sit in the chair beside you, and you have to say, I got this. when I reached the point of this can't hurt me. And I'm very much a fan of trying things first before I, let patients try it or et cetera. And as the trajectory of Asea hit my life, it was in the point of my dad's illness. And I'm not sure if you want me to tell that story right now, but suffice it to say that since the last time I was on here, we've just kind of got the tears dried up. Man, I cried all the way home after that one. That was just incredible, seeing my dad for the first time really share his heart and tell his story. It was just life-changing, and we've talked about it so much, and rewatched that video, and my kids and me and my husband, we sat down that weekend and watched it and relived in a good way, those tough times, and the rescue of Asea into our lives, and rekindled that gratitude for the Norton family and the science of Asea and what it provided us and our grandfather and my father for, times to come and conversations to come. So I am so grateful for Asea, that blue bottle. It has changed my life in more ways than one. So I'll kind of leave it there. And when we're ready to tell my dad's story, I will. Just let me know.
It's a very powerful story. And that was such a powerful event that night, having your folks on, having your dad talk himself, and just absolutely amazing. So you bring it in whenever you want. You can take us back to you hiding in the closet with your book.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I'll talk about that. Yeah. So my reckoning with my health occurred when I was about 35 years old. I don't care to tell you how old I am. And it came after some labs, like wellness labs, from office, from work. And I was in not good shape. And I recognized that quickly. And I recognized that my family history was really kind of the bear in the woods chasing me. And I decided to try something different other than what I did every day with the prescription pad. And I found myself reading a book. It was called Wheat Belly, and written by a cardiologist. And it really introduced me to the concept of food affecting my health. Now, you guys are all understanding that now, but recognize I didn't get that. And Maureen, we've talked about this before. You got more education on it than I did in the realm of nutrition. And, I was just taught that vitamins are alphabet soup, and that as long as you're an American, there's no deficit. You have no deficit. There's no such thing as vitamin deficiency. You have everything your body needs. And I didn't get that.
Carmen, wait a minute. My one day of nutritional education was God. That's interesting. It's hard
than you. Yeah. I got maybe an hour. Yeah.
Wow.
It was so sad. And honestly, thinking about it, like, arrogant kind of. And allopathic is geared more towards understanding how the pharmaceuticals can help us. And that's needed too in some instances. I'm not saying it's not. But I just didn't have that foundation. And so I decided to learn it myself and through this book. And so I was sitting in my closet. It's where I can get my silence. The kids know when the closet doors closed, don't come and bother mom. But I was sitting there reading this book. Literally, I had my daughter's Minnie Mouse blanket over my head, thinking, oh my gosh, like somebody is going to strike me with lightning. This is not okay, that I'm headed into this woo-woo land. And I just decided to throw caution to the wind. I said, you know what, if I could improve by changing my kitchen of all things and just following some recipes, how about I just give this a try? So I committed to a month, and I started seeing improvements, drastic improvements, and quickly. And I didn't really realize how bad I felt until I started feeling better. And I'll repeat that for some of you out there. You may not understand how bad you feel now. In other words, you feel fine. I don't like that F word. You feel fine. But you don't understand how bad you feel until you feel better, because you've kind of just gotten into that routine, and it might be just how old I am, and that's just what's expected and such. Well, anyway, I felt amazing, and I didn't really understand that until I started feeling better. And then I started highly respecting, more this created body. How long ago was this? So that'd been about 11, 12 years ago. I didn't start respecting really this temple, honestly, in that manner, until I had that wake up call. And so after that, it's called wheat belly. After that, I just picked up the pieces and said, what more then? What more then? I'm a lifelong learner. And so what else is out there for me to learn? And that kind of dove me into this integrative world where there's way more than I learned before, and learned integrative and functional medicines, pretty much the same thing. But there's a vast knowledge base that our allopathic schools missed for us. And it's kind of up to the individual to take that and run and make the most of that. And so when Asea hit my trajectory, I had been taking it for a couple months. Let me think about this. March, April, May. Yeah, 2 months. And I was feeling great. My brain fog had improved. My sleep had improved. And, we make livings with our brains. So we want our brains to be high functioning. And that was really a noticeable first difference for me. But my father was sick, and he had been sick at that point for 3 months, 4 months. But the difference at this point in time was he had been through so much ups and downs, near death, etc. But the difference was at this point, the docs came and told my mom that he had a 10% chance of living. And mom called me and said, this is what the doc has said. What do you know and what do you have? And I said, well, I've got this blue bottle and you've been taking it too for a few weeks. How do you feel? She was like, I feel better. I'm sleeping better. And I said, and your processing is better. She was getting sharper. I could just tell. She was getting her feisty back, if you know what I mean. And I said, well, Mom, this is what I've got. And this was back in the day when we could go and stay bedside with our family members. And I know that's improving now, but it still was back in those days. And so she decided that she wanted to try it. And painting the picture for you of my dad at that point, he was 70, 72. He had a feeding tube in his nose. He did not know who he was. He did not know where he was. He knew Mom a little bit, but didn't know the rest of us. And she just started. I said, well, you've got a sponge that you put water on? Yes. I said, well, it looks like water. Just put it in a glass jar, take it in there, and use your sponge. And so she did. And that's all. She was just giving him water. And we know that Asea absorbs in the mouth and the esophagus. Nobody but my mom knows how much she gave him, and she couldn't even quantify it for you. So I know that's going to be a question, but we just don't know how much she gave him. And we use the gel. We use the gel all over his spine, all over his belly, anywhere we would put the gel. And in a couple weeks' time, really 7 to 10 days time, he, for the first time, ate 3 meals in a day. He had not done that in 4 months. Then a week later, he was challenged with qualifying for inpatient or rehab in the nursing facility. And he had a nice, sweet little physical therapist that really got to know him through the months there. And she came bedside and she said, Gary, I'm going to have to get you up and I need you to walk. but you can't use anything. You got to walk 200 feet for me. And he walked 250 feet, as sassy Gary is, 250 feet unassisted. Hadn't done that since February. That was June. And qualified for inpatient rehab and came home 30 days later. Is live and well now. Look up his interview. A couple months ago, we did that. And he's alive and well. He's about to turn 75 in 2 months, 1.5 months, really. So it was just incredible. And his story is different in that we've talked about this before. You know, it was quick. It was very quick and timely. And I think the topic of tonight, as far as when we talk about expectations, is very important to set. That my dad's story is an amazing story, but it's also a very unique story. And every story is different, and every story is purposed and perfect, no matter how long it takes or what the results are. So I just want to encourage you guys that these little molecules, I very much regard in high esteem. It gave us our family in whole back, and we're very forever grateful.
Beautiful.
Okay, real quick, can you explain to the people that maybe have not seen this before, what are we talking about? What are these God-given molecules all about?
Yeah, so redox is a chemical word, biochemistry word, reduction and oxidation. It's just two words that's put together. And those two are required in balance for the body to work. You know, there's been very much big craze about oxidation and antioxidants, but we now know that it really is both of them. Both of them are very important. And so what these molecules are, they are created from the body in the from the mitochondria. I call them the mighty mitochondria from mamas, because we get the mRNA from our mothers. And they create these communication molecules that communicate with other cells. It's just like communicating in your family. If you don't communicate with your spouse, your partner, then it might not be a great day, right? So communication is key. And communication is key to keep these 50 to 75 trillion cells we have working and operating at the highest level. As we age, we may not create or make as many of these molecules as necessary. As we become ill, you know, the health of the cell is what we're talking about, attending to. But cells are put together to form organs, and organs are put together to form systems, and systems are put together to form people. And so when you have, 100 cells that are not communicating, you're probably not going to notice that. But if you have a whole organ or a system not communicating, then that can lead to, a diagnosis or a symptom, a big symptom, right? And so these cells, these molecules are basic products, natural products of what your cells already make. We're just giving them in a bigger quantity to let your body use what it needs and then dispose of the rest.
Can I drop a big bomb on everybody? We kind of brought this up before the call. Ann's dad has been in the hospital for going on a month. And we drove over there this afternoon, and it's been a while since I've driven through our hospital district here in San Antonio. And I was blown away by how massive it is. And I'm looking at new hospitals being built all the time. Maureen, you've commented about that. When you became a doctor, you go, wow, we're going to take such great care of people, right? That we won't need doctors.
We'll have a day off to drink coffee and chit chat.
Eat bonbon. But here's the bomb. We are responsible for our health. What is it going to take to wake people up? But see, I think people have given up hope, because that's kind of where I was 6 years ago with my health issues, with my back issues. But I had no hope. But yet, I love what you said, Carmen. Lifelong learner. Are you out there? You know, is everybody out there? Are you a lifelong learner, or have you given up hope? Because that's honestly what we have, right? Is hope in a bottle. Because where would you be right now, Carmen, if you did not get introduced to this? I even chill. It sent to chill thinking about it, right?
I would be without an earthly father.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
So-
100%.
So how do we reawaken people to have them go, it's my body, I only have one. I need to be responsible for myself. How do you go about doing that, all three of you, even with Ann? One at a time? I don't know.
I can chip in here. I'm sitting
Wait a
here.
minute, who are you? Wait a minute.
Hi, Lee.
Wait. There.
There he is.
Go
Best-
get his book today on Amazon. Dr. Lee Osler, Redox Matters. I'm sorry, Lee, go ahead.
You just
Thank
finished
you,
speaking
Jim.
to a group about this. Yes.
Thank you. I'm
Yeah.
sitting here in a hotel room in Atlanta, Georgia right now at a professional meeting. And we spent probably 3/4 of our day today talking about nutritional biochemistry. It's a fascinating, this is a medical dental meeting. There's physicians and dentists in the room. And I was taken back. I mean, these are things mostly I already knew, but I was taken back again with the focus of what we do in our lives in terms of our diet and the foods that we eat that bring us to a place where we have these system and these cellular failures that Carmen was talking about, that then put us in a place where I need to go see a physician or a dentist or a health professional so that I can have some form of medical intervention. And so directly to your question, and Anne can probably speak to this more eloquently than any or all of us, but I'm watching these presentations talk about the consequences at the mitochondrial level of the metabolic things that happen when we eat sugars, specifically fructose, and when we consume a diet that are very rich in omega-6 fats, the polyunsaturated fats, especially if we're elevating the temperature in those fats to prepare our food. So we're talking about fried foods.
Okay, I was going to say, tell us what that is, where omega-6s come
Too
from.
many of those out
Get down to my level, Lee, please.
Well, these are fats. We live on a planet where the fuel sources that we burn are either carbohydrates, they're proteins, or they're fats. Those three constituents are the fuel that the mitochondria furnace burns to create energy in our body. And in those, there is good carbohydrates and there's bad carbohydrates. There's good fats and there's bad fats. And we just continually are faced with a food industry that provides convenience processed foods that are packaged in ways and processed in ways that when we consume them, they do not support the cellular health that we've been talking about. And so we wind up with this damage occurring in these metabolic pathways that affect cells, that affect tissues, that affect systems, that affect our bodies. And the way we know it is that we have symptoms show up. And the analogy I like is that we all have a smoke alarm in our house. And most of the time, these smoke alarms are wired together. So if any one goes off anywhere, the whole house alarm system goes off. If that smoke alarm went off at 2:00 in the morning, and we could just reach over and flip a switch on the wall that would turn all the smoke alarms off so that we could go back to bed, that's really what taking medications does. Now, I'm not putting that in a totally bad light because there are places when it is there. But the point of having a smoke alarm is so that you will be alerted that there's a problem and you'd better go investigate what the root cause of the problem is, rather than just silence the alarm like we would take drugs to silence discomfort or any other symptom and just like, well, I just want to get on with my life, make the symptom go away. And so we wind up treating symptoms and signs such as laboratory values without really digging in and saying, what's the root cause of all this? And as I'm watching these scientific presentations from nationally acclaimed physicians and nutrition experts, what I was seeing all over the screen, even though it wasn't there, was redox. Everything going on is a redox pathway. And even though these informed people don't understand redox biochemistry, They understand redox biochemistry. They're just not calling it that. And so the advantage that we have is that we have this marvelous breakthrough, this marvelous advancement, but we can't just rely on it alone. It's like we do have a self-responsibility to eat right and to exercise and to improve our lifestyles and to clean our lives up from toxicity, because those are the challenges that beset us and that cause this mitochondrial dysfunction happening, so that we can't activate redox pathways, and then we get symptoms and disease happening. And so that's all on us. It's not the medical industry's job to make us healthy. It's our job to be healthy, and that's largely lifestyle, and that's what this big blue bottle and this Renew 28 bottle is all about. Is that it gives us an advantage, because I can be activating those same pathways that we all should be working on independently with our own self-responsibility and our nutrition.
Okay, can I scream out the question that's burning? Is it too late for me to change?
No.
Carmen, I see your head. What do you say? It is.
Oh, just
The
Jim.
rest of the population is fine.
No.
For you,
But
Jim,
honestly, but people are out there going, well, I'm too old. It's not worth changing.
Or it can't change that.
Or,
I mean,
I've just done
you-
too bad for too long and I can't reverse that. That's where the
Well,
majority of people, I think, are.
we betted on the 10%. How often do you do that in life? Right? We betted against that and we won. I mean, that's incredible. But I think back to your hope question, I think kind of that pushing point occurs when someone's current pain, okay, when your pain right now exceeds your fear of the unknown, which lies in the future. Okay, when your current pain is way more than your fear of the unknown, then you'll press. Then you'll change. And
That's just
there's
human
not
nature, right?
yeah. And
I mean, it's just,
a lot of people wait until the last hour, the fourth quarter, the ninth hour, whatever you want to call it, before they say, fix me now. Well, if we could just take a step back, number one, let's calm down. Number two, let's work on this now. Health is built one choice at a time, and through the years, as just as well as health is torn down one choice at a time. There are diagnoses that you have earned through these years that your biochemistry now is suffering from, that now you have a tool called Asea to help you in that. Now, expectation wise, will one of the blue bottles make everything erase from you? Let's not be so arrogant to say yes. The answer is no, but we remain hopeful. I think we've talked about it before, that fine word. If you are fine, then you are without hope. And we have to come to a point where ego takes the side seat. And no matter what it takes, we will do for ourselves what we believe is right for ourselves, for longevity and for as healthy as we know to be. And I've heard a few podcasts, and I think there was a theme in a couple of them recently where they talked about lifelong learning. And this day and age, ignorance is a choice, right? This day and age, ignorance is a choice. And that's because there's so much information at our fingertips, right? And you choose to believe or not believe. And that's kind of, the reality here with Asea too. And, I've talked about before, when we say we need to do the research and the research and the research. Well, every day, week, month that goes by that you need to do your research, is that really hiding behind a veil of an excuse? Is that hiding behind a veil of ego and pride? And then at what expense? At what expense? And so it really comes down to a reckoning of yourself when we talk about, being an advocate for ourselves. It's much easier to be an advocate for someone else, strangely, than for ourselves sometimes. I think there's a lot of people out there that could relate to that. But I think you're very much right, Jim. We have to take our health into our own hands to an extent and recognize, I educate folks on insurance as well, and insurance is good. But insurance is meant for emergencies, and that's what we as doctors are trained for. We're trained for those acute emergencies. And what we don't realize is insurance is not created for prevention. Just like I told someone yesterday, I said, well, does your car insurance pay for your gas and your oil changes? Because if it does, I need that.
No, you got to do certain things. Keep it well. Well, and I try to teach people, there's simple things you can do to keep you out of that hospital if you're trying to avoid this or that. I mean, obviously, like Lee said, the 6s and the 9s, you can avoid those. You can get in 3 times a week of some kind of walking. You can, good for the heart. You can get the circulation going. You can eat your berries and your dark greens. I mean, there's, plenty of good, clean water, the right kind of water. But, in simplest form, most important thing, I mean, get some extra molecules. See what they can do. If you're doing 4 ounces, try 6 ounces. If you're over 50 and you're not considered really healthy, where your score is like 120, then you probably need to be on 6 ounces today.
Well, explain that 120 score.
Well,
people don't know what that is.
We all get a little card in our box, and you can score yourself. Are you between a 1 and a 10? Are you a 10 in good health? Are you in the middle, 5 or under? Well, let's see what some extra molecules can do, because it's not enough to just think you're eating the right stuff. Think of all the stuff that's sprayed on food, and the air's been depleted, and all the, the electromagnetic rays, all this stuff is robbing you. But simple, drink it and rub it. Jerry White's, use the gel wherever you need it. But, I love your quote that you've said more than once. It can't hurt you, right?
It can't hurt you.
And you said your dad is not just the only one this has benefited. Thousands have benefited in 33 countries for over 12 years. So why not try it? 90 days, 90% see a change. You need it longer than that, but let's just see what your body does to regenerate. That's bottom line. It's real simple,
Maureen, what about people that they just don't take it serious? They'll try a little bit here, a little bit there, then they'll come back and say, well, it didn't work. Right. I mean, what do you say to them? Because we have such, and that's why we do this webinar every week. It's such a huge responsibility what we do.
Well,
it's not a laughing matter. It's serious. But we have fun.
I like to laugh, and it totally is serious. And I set up expectations up front, and I just want to go back to what Lee and Carmen were talking about, and what you brought up, Jiminy, and about being personally responsible for health. What I always tell my patients is your health is like a staircase, and people are usually about halfway up that staircase, and they come to see us as doctors when they've taken a couple of steps down, because they don't want to hit that bottom. They don't want to get down to where they're not going to return from it. But we as physicians can only get them back to where they were or close to it. To get up to the top of that staircase, that's up to them. And that's all those lifestyle choices that Carmen was talking about. It's your diet, it's your exercise, it's your sunlight, it's your clean water. It's those choices that you make. And with Asea, Asea is a biohack. It's kind of like a lifestyle hack, if you will. I always say, if you're on the sofa with a Big Mac in one hand and a clicker in the other, you better be drinking these molecules. They may be the only thing keeping you alive, but the more good you can do for yourself, the bigger bang you're going to get for your buck. But that said, when people are getting on this, I say you have to value your health. You have to be someone who is really interested in attaining and maintaining your health, because these are not cheap. These products are not cheap. They are cheaper than being sick, I will tell you that, but they are an investment. And so you have to get people's buy-in. I tell them, you did not get sick overnight and you are not going to get better overnight. You need to commit for 90 days to this liquid. If you can't do that, then by all means, just get a tube of the gel. You will love it. It'll help you with your skin texture. You'll look younger. Use it for some discomfort, and start them slowly. But if they're really committed to it, then get them to commit to that at least 90 days, 90 to 120 days. You guys, it's little to ask. There's a lot of people, all you have to do is sit on a bench in an airport and watch everybody limping by. Everybody is overweight, and I'm not throwing stones or body shaming because I'm a fluffy girl. Asea hasn't fixed that for me. But we're out of shape, we're obese, people are limping. There's a lot of degenerative joints out there. And it's those choices. It's what Carmen was saying. A lot of this has to do with the foods that you eat. And I want to say something. People couldn't believe that doctors don't get nutritional training. I graduated medical school over 30 years ago, back in 1989. I think it was my first year in medical school that we got our nutritional training. We had an entire year of pharmacology. We had as much training as pharmacists in all of the drugs and all of the pathways and everything that they did. And literally I had one day of nutrition, and that was with a scope book that showed pictures of what people look like with different vitamin deficiencies and all. I mean, pathetic. Hopefully these days, I haven't checked, but hopefully these days they're getting better education than that. But Dr. Keith had to go get an entire new degree to learn about nutrition. So that's what they teach with functional medicine. So it is a little pathetic. You do have to kind of take that education on yourself, make sure that and like Dr. Keith said, there's no excuse, you guys, for being illiterate, right? You can't always let somebody else do your educating. Take responsibility and drink your molecules. Okay, I get off my soapbox.
No, I appreciate that. So, Carmen, what do you say to the people, whatever their age, that they go, "Oh, I don't need that. I'm healthy." I know we've had Dr. Walker, ER doc, on here, and you probably have seen it. All of you have. Well, I'm healthy. Then the next day, where are they? They're in ER. They've got some chest pains, right? Or they got a bad headache. What do you say to people? And then also the other side of that is also younger people that are having a lot of health issues. We have a 12-year-old young boy in Corpus Christi with really bad cells. Mm-hmm. Why? Well, why are we seeing children with these issues? And again, I don't need that. I'm healthy. What would you say to that?
Yeah. And, some of it is I talk about, you really don't know how bad you feel until you feel better. You didn't come to me because you're feeling amazing. You came to me for help. And so now that I have offered something for help, you're turning it down. And so in effect, you're refusing your future. So, I mean, of course, there's choice in everything, and you can choose that, and that's okay. But what I want you to understand is they will always be here for you. The molecules will always be here for you. I'm not closing the door. If now is not the right time for you, I want you to hear that I care. I want you to hear that these will always be for you, and it is just a phone call away. And so you have to respect people's choice and where they're at that point. You can offer more education for them if that's really where they're stuck. But even that, like I said before, is I want to get more research and want to learn more, just an excuse. And, we've talked about expectations before, and I mean, this is kind of my motto: expectations are planned resentments, and so are excuses. And so you have to keep that in mind. And so people will come around, and it's where they are now. That doesn't mean that's where they'll be in a week, a month, a year. But as long as you keep, you're kind and you keep an interest in them, you know, a lot of people will come around and say, hey, you know, I do want to try that. I've thought about it. There are some people who just have to process longer, and that's okay. You know, that's quite all right. Because also, if they're not ready, you know, it doesn't matter if we're doing a surgery, if we're doing an injection, if we're doing whatever. If somebody is really not ready for that therapy, then the likelihood of it having a good outcome is pretty low. Even this. But you know what I tell people too? I say, well, how would 40% improvement help you? Because the magic of 40% is that's placebo. So placebo improvement is 40%. So even if it helps you 40%, so what if it's placebo? Could your life be changed on 40%?
Yeah.
We have a nurse practitioner that we work with. She said placebo cannot last more than a couple of months.
Right.
And we've had people on these molecules for a long time. Now I want to bring the gorilla, the 1,000-pound gorilla or elephant, whatever it's called. And Lee, maybe this is for you or Carmen, or actually even with Maureen, but why network marketing? You know, why deliver this to the people via a model that people call it's just a pyramid scheme. It's just snake oil, all that kind of stuff. Lee, do you want to tackle that puppy? You still have that chicken bone?
Chicken bone. Yeah. Out.
Yeah, it's a tough chicken bone for a lot of people. And because in our society, we think, well, if there's something like this about my health, shouldn't I be getting that from my doctor? Shouldn't I be getting that from a pharmacology direction? Shouldn't I be hearing that on TV, you know, as a check with your doctor if this is right for you type of thing? And that is our cultural mindset these days, the way we've been programmed. And the bottom line is, for anything to be a pharmacy solution, it requires an immense amount of research, hundreds of millions of dollars. It requires, 5, 10, 15 years. I just talked with a gentleman today that has a mouth rinse, and he said, this is just a mouth rinse. And for him to do a study would be $5 million just to do the study on a mouth rinse. And so there's this incredible hurdle. And even if you did that successfully and passed all the FDA hurdles for approval, that you're limited to speak about it based on what you found in the study. And so you can't go sideways and talk about all the other brilliant things that very thing might also be able to accomplish, unless you want to spend another 5 or 10 million on each one of those claims. So the bottom line is, it's really a blessing that we're not in that model. It's a blessing that we have the ability to speak to this about stories. It's a supplement, it's not a drug. And therefore we can't make claims. We don't want to make medical claims. We can't talk about diseases that would threaten the status of the availability of this, because it would be making it sound like a drug. And so really sharing stories, and people often ask the parallel question to that, Jim, is people say, well, what will this help? Will it help with X or Y or Z? And of course, the answer is we don't know. What it helps is 100% of your cells. And the reason why you've never heard me tell you a story about how well my elbow is doing is because I don't have an elbow problem. I've never had an elbow problem. So you're never going to hear me talk about how it's helped my elbow, but you will hear me tell you how it's helped my back, because that's the problem that I had. And everybody has a different expression, a different symptom, a different sign. And it's simply going to help all the cells that were going bad or were going dysfunctional that produced that problem. It's going to help them. I call it the doctor inside. We're awakening the inner doctor so that the cell can correct that. And so it's, as I say, it's really a blessing that we can speak in broad, wide, lateral terms about this, about all kinds of things, because each person's story is different. We can't, and we have to be really careful to stay compliant, because we're all kind of like, I won't say addicted, but it's like we're all we want this stuff because we're not going back into pain. We're not going back into whatever it was before we had, these issues. And so we're gonna hang the course, and we want the freedom to be able to speak widely about our stories, and that's really why.
Carmen, how did you deal with it?
I really am very frank in saying, you know what, Mr. Norton was a Fortune 50. I never will be. And if he had the wherewithal business sense to know this was the best route to help the most people, then who am I to argue?
Yeah.
I judge not the business model. We're just trying to get into as many hands as possible, because the root of the issue is the cell. It's not even the tissues. The root of the issue is the cell. And so when you have something that works at the ground level, that's what's so remarkable. So remarkable. And it may take time to afford an effect. And that's okay. It takes time for trillions of cells to become aligned and to work properly to afford that effect. But on the card, the beauty of the card is what we talked about earlier, which is you never know how bad you felt until you feel better. Suddenly you've improved 10 or 20 points and you're like, really? I really felt that bad? You don't know until you write it down and you take a look back. Or ask
we love doing
spouse.
We love doing the before and after pictures with the Renew 28.
Yeah.
Maureen, how do you explain this being a category creator, and that if this is so marvelous, then why haven't other pharmaceuticals? Why hasn't anybody else come out with this? How would you answer that, Maureen?
Oh, I'm sure they're trying, but a category creator, there is nothing else like this available. This is the only company that has been able to stabilize these molecules outside the body in a solution that has a shelf life where we can actually put them into our body and have them work effectively. So, the great thing about that from a business standpoint is that we have no competition, and we don't have to get into any kind of fights with anybody that my daddy can beat up your daddy, because our products actually make everybody else's products work better. I talk to people who have nutritional products of all sorts, and we have nutrition. In fact, we have fabulous nutritional products, but there's all sorts of other things out there. There's juices and potions and CBD and you name it. And I'll say, you know what? That's all really great fuel you're putting into the tank. We're working at the engine. We're changing out your spark plugs, so your car is going to run better. Your vehicle, your body is going to run better if you have those things in tandem. So we stand alone. Now, will there be copycats? I'm sure there will. I'm sure there's people trying to figure it out, because my understanding is, this is the miracle is when you take salt water and you add energy to it. But there are, we have a patented process. It's multiple steps. And I understand that there are steps that are kind of unusual. And so whether or not somebody can figure that out, it may take them some time. I imagine that there will be other redox companies coming down the line, but we're going to be so far ahead of them, and we're going to own the whole market, because we're not just about redox signaling, we're about redox biology. So there's a lot of other things coming out. But I also want to say one thing about network marketing and, just a little bit of a paradigm shift. I don't really have a problem with network marketing. I never have. I consider it to be profit sharing with the company. And you know what? You're not going to have anybody who works at a GNC or Walmart or anything else educate people on the value or the benefit of redox signaling. You have to incentivize people to do that. And our company rewards us not so much for selling, but for educating other people about the value of these products. And, I think that's fantastic. And it's everywhere, you guys. It's not, we call it network marketing, or for us, it's next level marketing. But you know what? Today I got a text that if I told a friend about something, I can't even remember what it was, it may have been Pier 1. If I told a friend and they bought something, we both get $15 off. Well, what's that? That's incentivizing me to share information about another company and their products. That's what we do. That's how we get paid. Everybody's doing it. And I actually don't have a problem with it at all. I've always gotten paid for helping people have better health. So anyway, hope that helps.
And thank God we did learn of it this way, or none of us would know about it. I mean, a miracle in itself, is the choice he made and making it available to the world. I mean, all of us are forever grateful for learning of it, us from a best friend, and y'all from the ways y'all did. So I can't be more grateful.
And as an ex-financial advisor that used to do a lot of initial public offerings, when you honestly sit back and analyze what we have, that we're in 33 or 35 markets, that we have no competition. We've got the corner of the whole market that no one else can touch. It works on anything and everything alive, no toxicity. How big is that? I mean, if another company, would come out with this, what would it do to the market of that stock? If it was a publicly traded stock, it would halt all trading because nobody would ever want to sell that stock and the price would go through the roof and all the competition would plummet. But we have that. And as an ex-financial advisor, it always, when I would go to you, Maureen or Carmen or Lee with a stock idea or whatever, what did you have to have?
A lot of money.
It's $50,000 to $100,000 to be able to put into it. And then you're running to gamble whether it was going to work. But here, the investment in this is so minuscule. It's even sometimes, because I wouldn't even consider something like this, but there's the investment in this is your time. And knowing what we have and that no competition, and then the leadership. And Carmen, you said something in the beginning. And why was it so important when you heard Tyler talking? Why was that important to you? You're muted.
Oh, sorry. Jim, there was just something about his messaging and his presence. And really, when I hit the videos about the ethos of the company, it struck me to the core. Believe, belong, become. It just really struck me that, this is really a culture that aligns with my beliefs and where I want to be heading. And it was just a difference. We have all been exposed to network marketing and these other companies. And all I can say is it was well with my soul. I don't know any other way to say it.
Awesome.
How big is this, Lee?
Well, I'll give you a clue. Since this is kind of not this, but since Redox science has developed around this, or because of this, there are many big pharma research institutions, many university and private research institutions around the world that are going to be getting into this bandwagon, and they're going to be pursuing biochemistry, pharmacology, if you will, that will enable the ability to flip redox switches deep in metabolic pathways and gene pathways. And so that alone is going to raise the profile of redox biology and redox medicine immeasurably over the next 2 decades. What we have our hands on is something that's very generic. This is what we call the redoxome. We've heard of the genome and metabolome. This is a redoxome. This is a landscape, and we have a foundation position in that undergirds every cell of the body. It makes every cell work better by definition. So this is going to be huge. It's hard. People say, well, when are they going to do this? Well, when they're in pain enough, they'll seek an answer. But I give credit to people that there's a lot of thinking people who can learn off of other people's mistakes and who can project themselves into the future and say, I would rather have this future than that future because I already see what it's doing to my family, and I don't want that for myself. And they're going to be, and that's my challenge to everybody listening, for yourself personally as well as anybody in your world, is to help have that conversation and just say we can choose differently. We don't have to be victims of the processed food industry, of the pharmaceutical industry, and so forth. We can take control of this and put it in our hand by making the decision and getting out of our head and just moving forward with this.
Exactly.
When when people go and getting back to the business model, but when people go and buy anything at their grocery store or wherever they buy it, I always ask the question, Carmen, when you went to your grocery store or Walmart, did Walmart make any money on that product that you purchased?
Of course.
Well, why can't
Of
I?
course.
You know, because we've cut out all the middlemen. We are the middlemen. We are the advertising budget. And I think that was one of the, and I'm pretty sure we've got Tyler Norton coming on our show, by the way, in a couple of weeks. The gift that Vertus Norton gave us, Ed Weens talks about this. It's here. Here's this gift. And everyone that's watching this call, you're watching this because someone shared it with you. Hey, either get on this but learn. It's what, again, I go back to what you said, lifelong learning. And that's who we're looking for to partner with. But we are going to take this to the rest of the world. We will eventually be available in probably every major developed country on the planet. Again, currently 33 or 35 countries. And Maureen, ballpark, how many people know about this? It's very low. The market penetration is probably 0.000 nothing based on the world population. You know, Carmen, you were talking about, what is it, 7 billion people on the planet. Well, how many of them have
7.8.
cells? Huh?
I think it's 7.8 and growing.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So, guys, we've got a couple of minutes left. Carmen,
Last words.
what are your, can you real quick, natural versus native, that this is native to my body, therefore
Native.
it could,
Yeah, your
explain that
body
real
makes
quick.
it already. Your body makes it already. It's a bio replenisher. It's not a supplement. It's a bio replenisher. We're replenishing what the body makes anyway. I just challenge you, put your pride and ego aside and just drink it.
Maureen, what would you say?
Hey, I'll use Vertus Norton's words to my husband and me when we were so cynical and sitting with our arms crossed, wondering why it wasn't FDA approved. He laughed and he said, suspend disbelief. And I'm glad
The best way is to suspend disbelief is
Use
product
it.
use
usage.
the product. Yeah.
Lee, what about you?
You know, if you've got money to go on vacations and go to the theater and go eat out, you've got money to protect your health. You know, there's really little excuse. And if you don't have money to be able to do this, then jump in and begin sharing it so that you can get a thank you check that you can afford your own rescue from the position that you're in.
Ann?
So true. I mean, it averages $4 a day. I mean, like he said, make trades and decide what's most important and take charge of your life. We're excited to have Dr. Yanni Feliciano next Friday. So I think some of y'all have heard her before, and I think she'll be great. So
Yeah.
looking
And
forward to it.
My one last tidbit, I used to do a lot of estate planning. I did a lot of planning for the emergencies, the things that go bad, whether it be life insurance, really it's death insurance, and, you know, long-term care, that's going into a nursing home insurance, and, you know, disability and all those things that you protect from the bad. And then I'll go, yeah, but is your health worth an investment? Carmen, are you worth an investment back into you to prolong so those things may not happen? We know we're going to go at some point in time, but I want to delay it as much as possible. So guys, another blast. Carmen Key, thank you so much.
We love you.
Love
You're welcome.
Love you
So
guys.
guys,
All of
You
you.
too.
Thank you, everybody.
we will be back next Friday. Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Enjoy your
Bye.
fall.